Well, last week we got the fellows on and pretty well sized up. I think we're going to work for all our joint work. Next, I need to face this off on the outside rim that will go up against the tire. So before I actually start sanding, I'm going to figure out just what this wheel is as it sits right now. I'm going to mark my starting point, run my traveler around, and see what I've got. There's 5, 8, there's 12, there's 15, so I have 15 revolutions and 19 inches, and I need 15 and a half, so I am 3.5 inches larger on my wood, which is good. Well, I think I'm pretty square here. I want to keep this edge square with the face of the fellies here. I'll just gradually move this sander in as I take off all the high spots. And I've also placed a roller stand on each side of this sander to help in the rotation of this wheel. Kind of keep that positioned right about so. And I've placed one on the other side as well to help stabilize this wheel as I rotate it past the sander. That is going to allow me to sand out these little imperfections. And the overall width of my fellows, I want to end up at 4 inches. Well, see, I'm purposely left these strong. I'm 4 1/8 there, 4 3/16, almost a quarter there. So I did leave some extra thickness just for this final finishing procedure. Yeah, I'm going to take off between 1/8 and 1/4 inch. So as I do all this, I'm going to double check that I am square on my face. I may have to make little adjustments. I can do that some with my roller stands. I'll run this around and just take off my high spots and then continually just kind of bump this sander in until I get a nice consistent round surface. And I've got a nice square face. So things are looking pretty good. I'm going to double check what my circumference is. And as I check my felly depth, I'm still about 4 1/4. So I still have some leeway to sand, which was my intention. So I'll recheck my circumference. As I set now, I'm probably pretty close to the iron circumference as it sets. If I left that about 2.5, 3 inches in that iron with that poor looking weld, if I didn't cut that out, I'd be pretty close. But I'm going to sand this down to where we're pretty consistently to that 4 inches and see what we have in circumference at that time. There's 15. So I am 15 revolutions, 18 and 3/4. I'm going to have to undersize this 3/4 of an inch. So I want to be in this 16, 16 and a half, and I'm at 18 and a half, 3/4. So I need another 1.5 inches or so out of this in circumference. Well, I sanded it a bit further, and right now my fellies are a pretty consistent 4 inches thick, and that's what I wanted them to be. Just right there at 4 inches. And another quick check with my traveler. I think I'm at 30 revolutions and 18. I had speculated that I wanted to come to 30 revolutions, 16 and a half. I'm a little strong of that, of course, and by another 1.5 inches, but I have more than that in that weld that I'd like to remove. So I can play with that weld a bit. And another thing is, I use my traveler around, I haven't taken into account the spaces yet, which is probably going to accommodate for another 3/16 or so less, because I'll measure actual wood excluding all the spaces. So for now, I'm going to call it good enough. I'm not going to sand any further. I'm at the measurements I want. It's raining outside, has been for all day, so I haven't been able to go back out and check that tire again. I may bring it in even, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But now the next thing is, I've got to get this wheel off after I get some specific measurements and start to build our second wheel. Well, indications are that this wheel is going to get painted. I'm not sure what color that's going to be, but I wanted these to be protected through the process of the handling, shrinking the tire. They're all going to get hosed with water as we shrink this tire down. So I just wanted this wood kind of sealed up for that. They'll still be able to go and do their painting over this. This is an oil stain, total wood protectant, and it will accept an oil finish very well. So anyway, this will kind of help us seal it up for its next process. Well, the next step is to size this tire to the wheel that we've got built. I did get it brought in. I got it set on some sawhorses, so I need to take the traveler and double check my circumference. On the wheel itself, I have 15 revolutions plus another 18 and a quarter, and this is on the wood, excluding all my spaces between the fellows. So this is that weld that we've been looking at that wasn't the best. I took my grinding wheel, actually a heavy ceramic flap wheel, and I did dress this off, both on the inside and on the outside. Well, once I got this tire brought back into the shop and on these sawhorses, I was looking at this weld a little closer. Initially, I was thinking I was going to try to cut that out, and I think I've got enough room to do that. And I noticed something else that's even maybe a little worse than the weld. This side of the tire comes up pretty uniform, but you can see right here, from this point to the weld here, the top of this tire takes a bend from about right here to here. So it's kind of flat here because it's bent in. This whole tire needs to actually be pushed out into round, more out into this area. And so if I cut this weld and tried to redo that, I'm not going to fix this problem here at all. So this becomes more of a problem than this ugly weld did. I actually cleaned that weld up to where I think it is acceptable. This is more of a problem. This tire has 9 holes in it that the owners don't think were probably original. So I'm going to weld these shut anyway. So I'm going to move back to this hole here where the tire is in pretty good symmetry and do my cut and re-weld here. So everything will kind of stay in line. And I think I'm going to bring my 2 rosebuds up and put 2 torches on this, enough to where I can take a heavy sledge and try to push this back into more of a round configuration so that it sets onto the wheel a little better. So to figure my circumference, 15 revolutions is 30 feet. Plus another 18 and a quarter, so I got 31 feet plus 6 and a quarter. 31 times 12 is 372, plus another 6 and a quarter, 378.25. And I'm going to make the steel tire in circumference 0.2% less. So I'm going to multiply this times 0.002. You can see I'm going to be 3/4 of an inch just strong of the tire. So I'm going to come from 18 and a quarter inches back to 17 and a half. So I'm going to come around this hole here and see where I want to be at 18 and a quarter. I'm going to actually come back to 15 revolutions, 17 and a half. Uh, 15 plus 17 and a half. So I'm going to take out 1 1/8 inches. And I'll do it over this hole, so I'll resize this plus plug a hole kind of all in one. And I'll deal with that ugly joint there afterwards. So I'll transfer my inside marks to the outside, and I'll cut out this hole. And take out my 1 1/8 inches here. So this will all be lined up and it'll match up well again so I can re-weld that. So I use this spreader to spread apart fellies when I'm putting them on. I'm going to see if I can't use this same little spreader bar here to contain this overlapping that I think is going to happen. I'm thinking maybe I'll even put a second clamp on each of these, kind of just in case. Well, I clamped the fence on here so I can kind of run my saw against that fence and make this first cut. I want to bind up just a bit. Have some pretty good tension on it. There we go. It does want to spring together. I may bring another sawhorse up and try to hold this up into place. Well, we're kind of offset here. A little difficult to do that with the saw. So I think I'm just going to do my cutoff wheel and cut this little blank out. Doesn't have quite as much spring to it as I thought it might have. This should keep us into round. I want to double check and make sure that I'm looking pretty flat across, which I think we're pretty good. I just have to drag the welder up and stick it together. That's going to help it a bunch. Much more into round and more symmetrical now. Well, that pretty much completes this whole process, short of just a big bonfire and setting these tires on. I've got to do the next wheel, so I'm going to jockey things around. That's got to come off the stand. I'm going to set it to the back of where the stand is now, bring the other one in and do it all over again. Do appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching.